evening, everybody. Welcome to Not Another Rangers podcast. It's your Friday night and only night edition of the last during pre-season. We are sorry for the slight delay, lots of internet issues. It's good to be back. It's been a busy week. So since last Friday we were on, there was the first pre-season friendly at Ibrox. There was a training camp. There's been a couple of signings, a couple of announcements about people that are going to be going, and we're now 11 days away from a Champions League qualifier. So things are starting to hot up in the last. About 3 weeks into pre-season, I think it is. I think that's probably coming at the end of 3 weeks. So it's been a busy couple of weeks. And what we will do tonight is cover all of those things that have happened over the last week. That's a good thing about this podcast. Will be weekly at the moment. It gives us a chance to kind of pick up on all the stuff that's happened over the course of the week. Probably listen to a lot of other podcasts. If we could steal and plagiarise, was it stealing from one's? Was it plagiarism? Stealing from more than one's research. So it's research if we use anything from any other pods. I think that's the same. It's been a busy week for us three podders as well. So I think, Ricky, you've been away in Amsterdam all week.
Yes, I was over in Amsterdam, took the kids to their first big concert to see Imagine Dragons. So they were on my shoulders for 4 hours. So the next day I could barely move. My back was in absolute tatters. But no, it was great. Amsterdam, what a city, mate. I did it in my youth when I was a bit rebellious. So it was good to actually do it this time and actually see some of the city. And I'll no discuss what I was up to the last time I was there. So it was great few days away. Went to the zoo, Nemo Museum, doing everything. Like a right little tourist, and back to the Cyprus heat today, mate. So a fantastic week for me.
And you'll know, Ricky, it's actually warmer here than it is around most of the world at the moment. It's been absolutely roasting here today. Was it 25, 26 degrees? It's far too warm for us people working.
I was laughing because everyone's been swagging Rangers for going down to Burton. But whereas we've got the best facilities in the world, this complex is one of the best. And then I was laughing because I saw little clips on Twitter, Celtic are in Lisbon, and it's absolutely pissing or rain. So hopefully it continues and they get absolutely soaked. So well done to Rangers for choosing the right training venue for the pre-season.
No, definitely. And Scott, you've had a busy week as well, I believe. I remember seeing a picture at one point during the week with Brian Robson. Oh, you're on mute, Scott.
You two are just echoing me. I don't know if it's the internet.
No, you're fine.
I don't know if it's the heat. I don't know if it's just a poor connection. But you've just disappeared, Gary. So I don't even know if anybody can hear me because Ricky's just froze as well. So I'll keep talking even though nobody can hear me because you're freezing and I'm freezing. But I don't mean chilly. I mean as in this internet is poor. No, it was good last Friday night. I went to my son to a question answer thing with Brian Robson, and he's a really genuine guy, and it was good. And the only thing is, I didn't get to ask my questions. We were too far up the back. They couldn't see my hand because I'm only about 5'7", do you know that way? But I wasn't great because I wanted to ask a question. But apart from that, Gary, I've just been at work and not a lot else this week.
So hopefully you can see us now, Scott. And I have been off work this week, so I was celebrating a big birthday.
Happy birthday, Gary. Just sort of interrupt 50, your big 50 of this week.
50th this week. 50th
congratulations.
This week, so.
Congratulations. What were you doing through the week? Was there anything exciting on the top?
I know. I was on the Monday night was my birthday, so I went out for a meal with my family. Tuesday I was away at the zoo as well, so they wanted to go to the zoo with my kids, so I took them to the zoo.
Brilliant.
And yesterday I was away at the Scottish Golf Open.
Oh, you went to that, did you? McIlroy's doing well, I saw, eh?
It was good. Tiring day. It's a tiring day going to golf, so you're traipsing around for hours upon hours, But it was good. It was enjoyable, It was something McIlroy watched him in the last 18th hole and things like that. It's some kind of nice birthday. And then the days obviously followed that on. So it's one of the strange experiences of golf. My daughter had got me a ticket, so she came with me, and I think she was bored after about an hour and had to stay there for the rest of the day. So, but it was a beautiful course. It was in North Berwick, beautiful part of the world, right on the coast. So it was in glorious weather. So what was the complaint?
Good.
And so no, it's been a good week. It's been a nice week spending time with the family and that stuff. So now, as I say, now I can wallow in the fact that I'm now old and 50 and
I know, mate. I'm catching up with you soon, mate. I've got 4 years to go, so sure the big 5-0 is painful, mate.
So no, it's not the best. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about what we've been up to. We're here to talk about what's happening with Rangers over the course of the week. So I do appreciate that you'll have watched. Some of you may have watched lots of other pods, but we are going to cover the course of the week, and that takes us probably back to the first thing that happened was after we left. It was on Sunday. There was a friendly. So we played our friendly against, what do we call it, Club Brugge now, as opposed to Club Brugge, we used to call it back in the day. But now we've got to try and pronounce it a different way. So Club Brugge, I missed the first 50 minutes, fortunately, and then seen the rest. But it was I suppose, Ricky, what was your observations of the game? I suppose we'll pick up some of the players, pick up some of the things, but just your general observations first.
I wasn't expecting that much from the game, Gary. So it's no sort of game that I've like. It was pretty much exactly what I mean. I was surprised with the team. When I seen the team in the first half, I was very surprised with the lineup. But I suppose the international players had only just came back, and he sort of went with the players that had done the most pre-season, done the work in pre-season. Maybe he thought that he was due them some minutes and stuff like that. And I don't know if you noticed the coin toss. I mean, Connor Barron was standing next to Andre the Giant, tossing the coin in the air. The guy was almost 6'5", and Connor Barron, the little Scottish guy, it was a bit bizarre that he was captain for the day. I thought that was a little bit weird, but it's only pre-season, so we don't want to start reading too much into these things and stuff like that. But there was things to take out of the game I would class as positive. For me, the second half was very positive. I thought Finlay Curtis had a very good match. It was exciting to see a young Scottish talent. I mean, he apparently has been really good in pre-season. The manager absolutely loves Josh Gentles. He's been you would say the young star of pre-season so far for sure, because he's kept him on and took him down to, he kept 5 players back in Glasgow and took Josh Gentles down the road. So it shows you, and he came on and did well. I was glad we managed to get the 2 goals and get something out of the match. And Baz Rami as well, man. I thought Baz Rami was excellent, and he's been smiling and training. He looks happy. So he could be the surprise package of the season with what I'm seeing with the way the match went and stuff like that. But as I said, I mean, 2-2, they obviously took a lot of players off at half time. They're a very good opposition. That was a tough match. That first 45 minutes, you could see they've been together. They've got the patterns of play. They've got players that are worth millions and millions and millions in their team. So it was a hard test, which we probably needed going into this hard training week in England. So, but what I took out of it, as I said, Gary, there was positives, there was negatives, and there was a lot of players that we'll probably never see again in a Rangers jersey. So that was what I took out of it. What about yourself? Did you see the match, or you didn't go to the match, did you?
No, I didn't go. Scott was there, so Scott's getting internet issues, by the way, people. So just say, well, maybe dip in and dip out. I think his Wi-Fi's been melted with the heat in Paisley, unfortunately. So he will try and keep joining us as I can. No, I missed the first 15 minutes. I didn't bother going. I'm not a big fan of going to friendlies. It's just I pay enough money as it is over the course of the year. So I missed the first 15 minutes. I came in. My daughter was sitting here. She says, "We're 2-0 down already. This isn't great." And for the next 15 minutes or so, it was much the same. I think they hit the post. We struggled. Then you started to see the odd wee bit of what they were trying to do. I think I kind of got the impression that last 15 minutes of the first half, the interchange. Scott, are you on your phone now? Is that going to work better? Scott, can you hear me? Come in, Scott.
It's still not great. I try to go into my phone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you
we
fine.
can hear you.
Aye. My laptop was just constantly kicking me, so I had to grab my phone here. But so what were you saying? Obviously, I've missed all that.
We'll come back to you. We'll start talking about the Bruges game. So I was just going to say, but my take on the first half is we started to come into it. Probably first half hour was weak, was poor. We could have been 3 or 4 down. Last 15 minutes first half, you were there, Scott. You can get a better bird's eye view than we did. We started to come into with some movement, starting to kind of do what you thought they were trying to do, and then obviously the second half's far better performance overall for a whole host of reasons. But you were at the game, Scott, so I suppose what were your thoughts?
Wasn't great, Gary. It was a pre-season friendly, wasn't it? The first half was very poor, but that, like I said to you, that starting 11 will never start again together in its life, because that's just the way these things happen. The second half, I think he was angry at half time, the manager. I think he wasn't happy with what he seen, because Bruges did look like were 2 above us. But I think the second half, a few changes he made, we were a lot better, especially going forward, and we looked better. But even the team in the second half that put together, there'll be a lot of these guys not involved this season either, I think. But I will say Finlay Curtis was superb. The young boy done himself so proud, and he never stopped running start to finish. He was trying different things. He was always trying to get forward. He was always looking for the pass. He was trying to beat men. He was up and down the park, and he took his finish at the end very well, because it was pain in the last kick. But I have to say he done himself no harm at all in getting involved this season, because I thought for a friendly, look, the only one that was kind of up for it.
Aye. See, so you were there, so 30,000, which is a pretty good crowd, I thought, for a friendly again on the, what was it, the 5th of July, or 6th of July, and booing at half time. Scott, we heard your voice in the background. Ooh, you.
I don't boo, Gary. I said people's entitled to their opinion. They've never booed at a friendly, but people are just, you know, yourself as football fans, because of this takeover and everything else, everybody expects results yesterday. They don't want to, no any patience. But like I said, that if you're sitting there thinking that's they want to see us start living again, then you're kidding yourself. I think it's just one of those things. It's a friendly. We don't like getting beat. I know a lot of people say it's for fitness and that. Like they coin, a lot of people say, well, you need to start winning the friendlies because you take it into the season with you, the confidence and stuff. But it's probably a bit of both. Do you know that way? And Martin still to see his team again. I know he's watched matches and he's seen him in training, but he's seen an actual match, and it is what it is. It got a draw out. The second half was decent. The first half was poor. There's nothing really else you can say.
Yeah, and I think it's was the first half takeaways, Ricky, were probably more than anything else that King and Proper will never play again. Probably for Rangers in their minds, and that from back to.
Well, it's amazing that he went down to, I don't know if we'll probably get on to his interview today, but just to caveat what you're saying about that was he left 4 centre-backs in Glasgow after that match, and they'll never probably be very surprised if you see any of them play for the club again. NCL, before the match, he was up front. He told them he's not got a future at Rangers, which is very, very harsh, I would imagine, but it is what it is. He's told them. Davies is away to Birmingham. That looks like that's going to happen. And then the other 2 centre-backs, King and Proper, is obviously on his way to 20. So, I mean, he left all them back in Glasgow after the match. So, and he says he went through the team at half-time. So, God's sake, pre-season friendly. I mean, I agree. The fans booing, I thought, was a little bit harsh. It's only pre-season, guys. I mean, come on. But I understand the fans are really frustrated and it's going on from last season. But no, the players he left in Glasgow and stuff like that, I thought that was interesting. And you can see we are starting to move players on, which we need to do, Gary, because we've got to free up some space in that squad. He's taken 29 players down to St George's, 25 outfield players and 4 goalkeepers. So there is going to be I mean, we spoke about it, how many we thought were coming in and coming out. I think it's going to be a ridiculous number when we get to September the 1st, mate.
Yeah. There's various comments. I will pick up some of these comments as we go through from Paul and Mark, etc. We just want to get through the game, then we'll talk about transfers and talk about players in and out and all sort of stuff that goes through it. So, the second half, we obviously brought on Dio and Bajrami. A lot of people have been talking about Bajrami and how he looked like a different player. Now, it's a pre-season friendly, right? Let's be honest, Scott. You know, there's nothing really to take out of a pre-season friendly. But I think that maybe his fans will know that he's a good player. He's got ability, and maybe that was the first time we've seen it in a while.
I think it done okay, Gary. I think, like I say, it was a friendly match, so he come on and made a bit of a difference. We all know he's technically really good. He was just last season, he played maybe 4 or 5, maybe half a dozen good games after games he struggled in. So you don't know if that was down to the last manager. You don't know if it was down to the way they played, but obviously Martin wants to play a totally different way. He said that himself in an interview today. Some of the guys who he thought weren't going to do well, they've impressed him since he's come in. There's others that thought were okay, but they may need to move on. He was kind of diplomatic and said they don't fit the system. So you don't know what he'll do, but we know he's a good player, but we're not seeing enough yet to say he can be consistent. But that's up to manager. Listen, he's got the ability and he's got the technique, but he needs to be consistent and he needs to be showing things. He's only showed it in certain games, and it's obviously against Celtic, but you have to show it every week. You can't just pick and choose when you go. So I think if an offer came in, Rangers maybe deal with that, because they have been looking at a few different wingers, haven't they? And they've got obviously put in this guard who plays the 10 role. So I think Martin, Thelwell and Purdy, I think they've got guys. The way Martin was talking, I don't know if you've seen it, but I think he's known about his profile. He said it's a possibility, but he's obviously watched it in depth, and for being a possibility, I don't know if you put that much work in it until you really know. So I think he's maybe known for a long time. Listen, I've probably got a 90% chance of getting this job, so he's put a lot of work in behind the scenes. And when he's come in, we've all thought he's going to keep A, B, and C, but maybe he's not going to keep A, B, and C. Maybe he's been promised to get players in. He said people have to leave, but then he also said, well, we can't move them out, we're moving out otherwise. So I don't know if he means loans, but I I said to Ricky at the start, when Ricky said he was going to maybe send 10 players, I thought no chance on the first window, but I think Ricky's estimate could be wrong. I think it can be a lot more than that.
No, I think it is. We're going to be around about a dozen at this point in time, I think, in it. So just a couple other players, obviously, before we move on, because I don't spend too much time on the game. Danilo obviously was playing up front, probably struggled a bit. Ricky never really got into the game, and then the other one probably was Tav come on centre back for the second half. It was probably that and looked better, proper, well, King and proper put together. They're probably the two big changes.
Yeah, well, Danilo looked like a Pereira playing up front, mate. He was absolutely flying in the wind. He was lost, mate. It was absolutely embarrassing, his performance. And I mean, everyone's sort of hanging on to the fact that Martin says he ran them very hard before the match. They had a big session the day before and stuff like that. And he's obviously been the one that struggled the most with the running during pre-season. You can see that. So this will do him the world of good. So we'll see how he is when he's less fatigued. But I thought he was poor up front on his own, Gary, at the time he was on the park. Gentles actually put himself about a bit more when he came on. And I think Martin referenced that as well. So we've got to see a lot more from him if he's going. I mean, I've seen guys that were down at St George's today, and they think there's a good chance because Iggerman's behind the way that he's not really been involved the way Martin wants to play. They think there's a good chance Danilo's going to have to start this game against Panathinaikos at Ibrox because Dessers has got an injury. He's got a small niggle and he's miles away. He's even further away than Iggerman. So we don't really have that great striker option. So your two options is looking like it could be Danilo, a half-fit Iggerman, or a Josh Gentles from the bench if Dessers doesn't make it. So that's not a great situation to be going into that match, but he's going to have it all there for him to prove. As for Tavernier, I mean, I thought he did well. Yeah, I thought he came on. I mean, it's only a friendly match, and they made a lot of substitutions at half time and everything, Gary. But I don't see. He spoke about it today, and I see fans getting a little bit upset with Tavernier and stuff like that. The fact that he's going to be playing centre back, I don't think he's going to be playing Tav centre back. I think your starting centre back against Panathinaikos will be the new guy Nasser Djiga, and it will be Suter Djira, is it?
Djiga or something,
Djiga, yeah. It'll be him, and then I think it'll be Suter. I'll be your two centre backs. Tav could start at right back, you never know, or it'll probably be Aarons, but you never know. But he done well in the friendly, and he is. I think the way Martin spoke today, he's not planning on bringing in another centre back. I don't know if he was confused and he means that, or if he's going to be classing Tav and Sterling when he comes back as like a fourth and fifth choice centre back if you need them, which we will do throughout the season. You know how the season goes for us. You can guarantee there'll be a time where we've got 3 centre backs out and you're going to need to play your fourth and fifth centre back. So I thought that was interesting, and he gives quite a lot away. And what I like about that in Martin in interviews, he's very he speaks really well, but he's very upfront. And his interview today with fan media and the clowns from the press that were down there from the Sun and the Record was very, very telling the way. I mean, some of the information he gave away. He was even speaking about the guy from Sheffield Wednesday and everything like that, which you never hear managers doing that until the players actually sign. So I like that. So that'll be interesting to see. But I think Tav might be used in certain matches in centre back, but he's not going to be an actual centre back per se, like when everyone's fit, you know.
No, I'd agree. I think, you know, what was interesting is maybe looking at tactics. He probably suits right back, probably suits him now because of the inverted midfielders. They move out the midfield and use the ball that way. Actually, probably works for him better. It would have been having the ball up in the park. But anyway, that's a story we'll continue every other week, no doubt.
It's brilliant for him having competition, Gary. When was the last time? We speak about this all the time. Tav does get bashed a lot. Some of it's justified, a lot of it's not justified, right? But when's he actually had a player that's fit, that's good enough to come in when he is off for him? So now we do have someone that is good enough to challenge him, and that was Martin spoke about that today. He's like, look, I can't believe I played 300 games as captain for Norwich, and every single day someone was trying to take my position, and that's the way it should be for Tavernier. He's playing at a big club, and I loved the way that he spoke about that today because he was absolutely bang on, and we spoke about that on the podcast in the past, you know. So the way it should be for every player should feel challenged.
No, definitely. So I suppose the other player I forgot to mention, Scott, really people were talking about our first signing of our first proper signing of the transfer window was Oscar Cortez, wasn't it? £4.5 million. I'd imagine that happened in the 1st of July. So he played for an hour, had an assist. Don't know whether he meant it or not, but he had an assist. But he still looked as though a long way off being where he'd want to be. Scott.
I'm still here, Gary. Just trying to think that I playing up. To be fair, I don't know if you can still hear me, but Cortez, I think a lot of it's probably his fault, obviously because of injury, but he looks off at the moment to me. Listen, we don't know what he'll be like once he's fully running, once he gets pre-season under his belt. But the thing is, we've been linked with quite a lot of wingers. There's obviously Gasama. It's just that's nearly finished by all accounts. So he's going to come in, and then I like the other wingers as well. So if we're bringing in another winger, I don't know if he's going to be a long term. I know if he's bottom basically, but I don't know if the manager likes what he sees or maybe he's thinking, well, this boy came back last season against Hearts, looked really poor, and then never played fits and starts here and there and get injured. And I don't think any of us seen enough out of Cortez to see what he actually is like, but I don't know what he's going to be like once he's fully fit. But I also can sit here and say I don't think he's got enough, so I don't really know, to be fair. I think it's up to him, but I think it was a lot of money we paid for him, especially for somebody who, to me, just didn't justify us paying that amount out. But I know it was an obligation, wasn't it? It wasn't like we had to decide. It was a kind of, well, you've said you're going to buy him, you buy him. And I don't really know where he goes, Gary. I think if he struggles to get into the first team squad in the first 6 months, and he's not really getting a game, I think he has to look at himself and say, I maybe need to go on loan somewhere to get fitness levels back up or something, even game time.
No, definitely. So I don't know whether to do players going out first or players going in. So Ricky's talked a few times. I'll start with you, Scott. Ricky's talked a few times earlier on. So we'll talk about players going out. So Leon King is obviously surplus to requirements and has been told he can go, as has Enciala, as has Robin Propper's now talking to 20. Apparently the transfer fee's been agreed. And Ben Davies, I thought, was injured. Ricky, I'm not sure. I thought he was injured. I didn't know that he was talking to Birmingham currently. But as he says, the four centre-halves on their way out, potentially. And Russell Martin did say today in his interview that he doesn't expect any others to come in. I suppose that and Connor Cody, link that's been here for the last month. Just try to think about those. So losing four centre-halves, none of them you'd say were necessarily good enough. And the potential for none coming in with Connor Cody, maybe all quiet.
I think they're ready to go. I mean, they've signed two. You get Sutter there, and then obviously, like we all know, he might use Tap, especially if he maybe goes to a three at the back, or plays five, whatever, might use them. But I think that just tells you the pros have to be fit. You have to rely on these guys. I think one of the reasons we've used so many is because we can't find a decent two. Balogun had a run of games and gets injured. Sutter has had so many different partners at centre back, and then he gets a decent run and he gets injured. And Leon King, to me, should have left a few seasons ago. I think Leon has to go because his career stagnated that much. It stopped. But I know he's on a lot of money. I don't know if he'll get that at another club, which I think 99.9% he probably won't. But does he sit a full year out and then go for free, or does he go before that? I don't know. Proper, I think, has to go to play. He's at an age where he has to play. Enciala's a funny one for me. I thought he had something, but obviously Martin doesn't see enough. So I don't know if it's that alone, is it a real sell out the door. And I think Ben Davies, I think Birmingham were interested, but obviously they started a wee bit later in the season, pre-season, and they're still wanting him by all accounts. So I don't know. The Connor Cody one, I don't know if it was him himself or Leicester, or just we couldn't agree something that you never know. You can never say they won't bring anybody else in, but I think the two guys he went for was probably his first two choices and he got them.
Ricky, then on the basis that we have brought in a 21-year-old Djiga, or whatever, a 23-year-old kind of ages, and then Manny Fernandez, who's young and raw, and as you say, John Sutter, who's a little bit inconsistent with injuries. Do you think we need another experienced centre-half in the door, and we're slightly concerned with that? When I heard that, I thought that was quite interesting that you've seen that he wasn't looking at anybody else.
Yeah, I think I don't think our business is set in stone. I think they know what they want to do, and maybe that was just a little bit of a mistake from him today, because you know what it's like when you've got 50 reporters in front of you, and they're asking you fire questions, and you think that you're a little bit, okay, this guy's going here, this guy's doing this guy's doing that. So I heard that Connor Cody's wife, I heard that they agreed personal terms, and his wife is not keen to come up to Scotland for whatever reason. So I don't know if that's the reason, but I mean, there must have been something in that, Cody. There's no way that would, I mean, the people that were speaking about it and stuff like that, it was almost done. And it was just, everyone just thought that he was going to come back from the championship that he was watching once England won that, and then just come back after he finished his TV work and signed for Rangers. But I mean, Jermaine Defoe was speaking about it, so it was obvious that there was some interest in there. I mean, they wouldn't be having these conversations for absolutely no reason. He was asking him about the club and stuff, so that one's very interesting. But if they feel as though they've got enough going into the season, it'll probably be to do with Gary. At the end of the day, we've still got a budget. We need to work, you know. It's all right us saying, okay, we need this, we need another centre back. I want another goalkeeper. I want a left back. I want another left centre back. I want another 2 wingers included, and that's on top of the guy we're bringing in from Sheffield Wednesday. I want another 2 strikers. We all do, but you're working to a budget. As I said, they've got 29 players down in England, and that's almost first team players except for Josh Gentles. Okay, you've got 1 extra goalkeeper as well, but and then in Scotland you've still got 5 first team players that you've told they're surplus to requirements, and you're trying to move on. So I mean, that's 33 wages that Rangers are paying just now, and that's not including the guys that are injured. Your Mutondo, your Sterling. Yilmaz is injured again, you know, he's hobbling about the pitch down in England again. So it's like, come on. So it's all right. I think that you just have to trust these guys, and like, even though the business is going to be crazy and there's going to be a massive turnover of players, we're not going to be able to do it all in this one window. There is going to be, once we get to January, maybe 1 or 2 will leave, and then we can replace them. But it's very difficult to move the volume of players. I mean, we're probably looking at moving from the start of the squad we had last season. You're looking at 14, 15 players that you're needing to move on. I mean, that's just a crazy amount of players for and the wages that we're paying these players like Matondo and everything. Nobody's going to pay these guys the wages. They've not done anything for season after season. So it's a very, very difficult. There's many difficult obstacles for Felwell and Purdy to manoeuvre around. So, but it is interesting and it is exciting. There's so many rumours going on and everything. It's super exciting, but it's going to be interesting to see how things progress.
I'll stick with you, Ricky. Stick with the players going out then. So Leon King, you know, I suppose where do you stand? There's an argument that a lot of fans will say that he was badly treated. He was ruined back to Champions League days with Giovanni Broadcast. He's had 4 managers or whatever it is over that period. He's now 21. He's played 43 games. I think 28 of them or whatever it was in that season with Van Broadcast. I think it's probably clear that he's not developed. Now, whether that's his fault, our fault, or there's a combination of all of the above, it's hard to know. But I think it's definitely best for him. But he's never going to make it Rangers now.
Yeah, I think he needs to move on. You see, I mean, listen, you're going to see with a quality team that's going to come in for him. It was Lowry's team that were going to sign him last week, and it fell through apparently because of his wages. That shows you everything about the quality of player he is. He's no big enough to be a centre back. Every time he plays in our team, no matter who he plays with, our defence, like Proper, exactly the same as Proper. That's why the fans were booing at half time, because we've just had a fill of these players, Gary. And every time he plays in a Rangers defence, the defence looks so weak. We concede goals. The defence is all over the place. Not once has he played in a defence and I thought, oh, brilliant, mate, you look absolutely solid. And it was obvious that we've never thought that he was going to move into the number 6 position. He's played there for Scotland under 21s, but for Rangers, he's just not good enough. And it's nothing against him. We all hope that he goes and has a great career. He had a massive name. There was a lot of hype. Remember, everyone was putting up the article this week when he was linked with Man United, and we ended up giving him 10 grand a week apparently, because all these big teams in England were looking at him, and he was the next Scottish big defender that was coming out of Scotland and stuff. But he's just not kicked on, and he's had plenty of chances. So for me, it's just best that we shake hands and he moves on for the sake, more for his sake than Rangers' sake, because he needs to get on with his career. He's not a kid anymore. He needs to kick on, and he needs to find a club, if it's in Scotland or it's in the lower leagues in England, and try and build a football career for himself, because he's not going to have a career at Rangers.
Yeah. So, Scott, we've obviously talked about NCL. I was never a big fan of him particularly, but you said some King, we know he's probably his limitations. He's going to go. Proper's on his way, apparently in Holland for that, to go back to 20. And the other one that's left behind, the other one that was particularly mentioned was Sifu. What was interesting, but I suppose less about those because we know they don't have much of a future. Kieran Dowell wasn't on the list. Neither was Rabbi Matondo. Well, he's injured. But Dowell is down there. You wonder if he's got more of a future under the Martin than maybe had been planned at the start before the end of the season.
I think with Kieran Dowell is, I think Martin's obviously seen him quite a few times. Obviously, he's managed in the Championship and Dowell's played there a lot of years. He's probably seen him and thought he can do a job. I don't know if he'll be a starter for me, but I think he thinks he's a good squad player. And he's done really well with Ballon City right there, so I don't know if he's just not seen it from him or if he struggles in Scotland or his confidence is knocked. I don't really know, but you've got teams in England who have given him a chance, but when he comes up to Scotland when he plays with Rangers, he seems to have struggled, hasn't he? I mean, so I don't know what happened. I think if a club came in, they might look at the offer and take it, but if it doesn't, I think Martin will keep him in the squad because they can play a few different positions and managers seem to like that, especially guys that they maybe seen and maybe they know from where they've managed before.
He's younger than you think. I think he's something over 27, 20, something. He's not actually that old.
But Gary, if you look at our midfield,
no.
Sorry, Scott. Just to jump in there, if you look at our midfield options now, though, how's Dowell going to get minutes? If you look at who plays against Panathinaikos? You've got Rothwell, who looks like he's going to be playing the 6. He's going to be playing a bit deeper. You've got Diamande, Raskin, and Asgard. So that's 4 into 3 who are players above the other players in the squad. And then you've got your Rice, your Barron, and your Lyle Cameron that you signed for Dundee. So they're going to have to get minutes. I think they're going to be part of the squad along the way. So even if I'm Dowell and I'm looking at it, how's he... And Baz Rami as well. You've got Baz Rami that can play off the left and is going to play in the 10. And he might be the surprise package that surprises everyone. And actually, I mean, you saw the goal we set up for Curtis. I still think Baz Rami's a 25-degree player, as in it has to be 25 degrees for him to play well. He's that sort of guy, when it gets cold and it's winter time, he starts to hide. So, but you've got so many midfielders there. So where's Dowell going to get any minutes? I just don't see it.
No, I think that's a challenge, and I think that takes me to the next question, Scott. Then, we have, I think Ricky rhymed off 9 midfielders maybe that could play kind of roughly centrally, in different positions. So how they're all going to fit in. I suppose there's a question. Do you think we need to sell now before we buy? Not partly for budget reasons, partly because of the size of the squad. And you could look at that. You could put that to the strikers. You could put it to the midfielders or defenders. But we need to start moving players out before we start to add more in. Other than Gasama, who are like to buy, I'd be slightly concerned if we just kept adding at this point in time.
I think they can not back players if available, Gary, because our squad needs strengthening. But I do agree with you. We have to look to sell, especially if we get more than half a dozen or more players we should be getting rid of, because it helps bring the wage bill down, but because they're not going to get any minutes. So either go out and loan somewhere and another team pay their wages, or we try and offload them. But I don't think this board are going to be like the last board and just sell 5 players for like 50 grand. You know that way? I think if you're not willing to pay what they're wanting or what they're looking for, then I think they'll just stick to their guns and keep them. Which does look good, but sometimes you think to yourself, like a Dessers thing, I don't think there's much between the 2 offers, but Rangers wanted a bit more. But they didn't want to take that by all accounts, but I don't know the full story. So I don't know. I think if something came in for Raskin, they might still look at it or deal. I think if it's 2 offers come for one of the 2 big ones, I think they'll look at it. Because I think the players they've signed can cover their positions and maybe bring in somebody else. But as for Dowell, I think he will keep him about unless something comes in and says, right, we'll give you whatever for him and we'll take him off your hands. And I mean, he's done really well with Birmingham and League One, so the team's down there thinking he could do a job for us. But as with some other players at Ibrox, it's the wages that's the issue, because we have overpaid a lot of players just to get them through the door at Rangers.
Yeah. And that's no necessarily the boards or other people's fault. Sadly had to pay that to actually get them to come here, so or else they could go somewhere else, and that's part of the game, innit? But we have got a very bloaty squad now. You can obviously argue that we've lost Balogun, Proper, so to be Casemiro, Churney and Hadji, and Lawrence. I think that's the ones we've lost. I think brought in, was it Djiga, how we say it? Max Aarons, Fernandez, Asgard, Rothwell, Cameron, and Gasama if it comes. So I suppose the question is, you can only add so many if you're losing some. But second, I suppose, are we stronger now than we were at the end of the season? Look at those players that went.
Nah, because we still need to strengthen the front three, and we know that we don't have any wingers just now. We've got young Curtis as the only winger that if we were starting playing a team, we are playing a team tomorrow, and the only out guy that you can, unless you put Bajrami or Asgard out on the left, the only guys that you're confident with it's going to be playing out wide is Curtis. Because I know you thought Curtis was all right in the friendly. I thought he was pretty. He looked like he lacked confidence and everything, and that's not digging the guy out because. We've got to see a bit more from him. I was really watching him closely, and I wanted to see a lot more from him from that performance last week. So, no, definitely the squad is complete. We're getting up to almost 40 players, Gary. That's just too much. Some of these guys that are not involved, Yilmaz, Matondo, guys like that, they're on absolute ridiculous wages, mate. The wages that these guys are on is just absolutely nuts. But no, we're putting. We spoke about a jigsaw in past podcasts, and that's what we're building now, right? If you're watching these training videos, as I'm sure you are, the size of these defenders is amazing, man. You see the players, nobody can get past them. Even this guy that we bought from Peterborough, who the fans were all slagging to death, you can tell he's a bit raw, but he's an absolute monster, man. Like Martin is building a team for the Scottish Premier League, but he's using that as experience from the English Premier League, where he didn't have the physicality to be able to compete with Southampton. So that's what he's putting into this Rangers team. I mean, again, the way he speaks about all the games he watched last season, he could see every single fault with the team, and that's why this week we've been linked with a goalkeeper. That's why this week we've been linked with left backs again. We're linked with, I mean, God knows how many wingers. We're bringing back Hadji, we're bringing back Lundstrom, we're bringing back Josh Windass, we're bringing back. Honestly, man, I'm like, oh my God. I was on the plane. I downloaded a thing with Derek Clark from the Rangers Review, and it was a Sheffield Wednesday fan speaking about this. What's the guy called again? Gasama. And he got me so excited. He was like, "Oh, Rangers fans are going to love him. He's so good, and he's brilliant, and he's this." And I was thinking, Jesus, this sounds really positive. This sounds good. And then he started speaking about Josh Windass as though the guy was bloody Luka Modric. And I was like, okay, let's see what he, the way he went on about Josh.
Take the other one as well. Take the other winger. Just take them all.
He says, take them all, man. Just sign everyone. Like we're going to end up with Sheffield Wednesday's front three, Windass and the two Sheffield Wednesday wingers, and we're going to win the treble. Come on, guys, But no, it was interesting hearing. But I don't know if you noticed this as well. There was an interesting tweet about every single player was signed came through a really strong academy. I don't know if you've seen they all started. Asgard started at Liverpool. There was one guy started at Man City. The PSG, one of them was at PSG. This guy that we're signing from Sheffield Wednesday. So every player, and they're quite young as well. They've all like been at massive academies, and then they're coming into Rangers. So I don't think your question, I'm not digging you out, but I don't think your question is fair, and I don't think you can answer that like 10 days before we play Panathinaikos. I think you can only answer that question when we play the first game of the season away to Motherwell. I think that's the fair time to ask, have we got a stronger squad than last season? Just now, probably not, because Churney was a massive player for us last season, stuff like that. But we are adding a lot of power to the back, so you would hope the defence is better. But we've still got Yefte and Butland, which worries the life out of me in they two positions. So it's still too early to sort of be, for me anyway, comparing this squad to last season's, for me anyway. Just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. Just seen this from Paul. Brandon Barker came through at Man City, and everybody said Brandon Barker is possibly one of the best footballers in training they've ever seen. Just couldn't perform on the pitch on a Saturday afternoon. Scott, I suppose I get what Ricky's saying, and you can't judge. We're already assuming these players are better than the ones we had. That's human nature. You buy something shiny and new, you think it's going to be better than what you had before, and nobody really knows whether they will perform. Nobody knows on a cold, wet night in Livingston, whether they'll actually be able to do the job. But as it stands just now, we obviously got a lot of players left that didn't really have a future at the club. We brought in ones that got potential, size, scale, physicality, athleticism, stuff that looks good on paper. And there's certainly a squad that looks as though it's starting to take shape.
It's starting to take shape. He's doing it like he's building for the back outwards, isn't he? He's not starting anywhere else. He's starting with his back line. He's also looking at a keeper, which I hope he brings in the boy, because the boy's a very good keeper. Also, midfielders as well. I think we are stronger on paper anyway. I know it's still on the pitch, it's still to make that observation to see how we're stronger, but I think on paper, 100%. He brought in physicality, he brought in actual centre backs who look like they can header the ball. Whereas we were struggling with it the last few seasons, somebody just to be dominant in there. He brought in guys who maybe can just defend, and instead of just proper with just getting, like Ricky mentioned, a paper bag or something earlier on, a paper replay, that's not proper defenders all over the place. But I think he's doing it well, and he's bringing in players that either knows him or well or pupped it, and he mentioned it today in an interview about most of the players he wants are British. And I think, listen, people moan we're buying down the leagues, right? You can't really go in the Premiership because they're in that stratosphere. It doesn't matter if they're buying somebody for in the Premiership, we all think it's poor. Their wages are going to be astronomical, and the transfer fee is going to be that as well. So the Championship and League One are very competitive leagues. And the boy we bought for Peterborough, Peterborough fans were giving a bit of jack. Some were, some weren't. But Peterborough don't play when Martin wants to play. Peterborough were poor last season. I watched them a good few times. They weren't great, but they beat Birmingham City in the cup final, and that boy was outstanding because he was up against Jay Stanfield, who Birmingham bought for over 10 million quid, who won the Timmy Wingland in the summer there, on 21 tournament. So when he's playing against better players, this boy seems to stand out. He's playing against other players, he seems to maybe make a mistake. So we don't know what we want to get from him. We just have to wait and see. The boy for Wales, they spent 10 million quid on him, but he's played at Belgrade, and he's played in derbies which are loud and physical and aggressive, and he's going to come up here and not be fazed by that, whereas others might be. Do you know what I mean? Asgard, I've seen quite a few times, I have to say, especially at Wigan when they went to Luton, and I think he's a tremendous player. He's one of these guys who probably you can bring in, and if you perform the way Martin thinks and the way I think he can, I think he's one of these guys who can make money on. Might not be here long because I think he's got that ability, but it's up to him to prove it. So he's buying players for League One and Championship who, if he doesn't do it now, he might not be able to get him if he get another good season. You know yourself, if you go to England and play in League One or the Championship, you can get a move to a higher club, and it can cost a lot of money. Look at Charlie Addo. He was at us ready St Mirren and went back down to England, and Blackpool. We're all laughing next minute he gets cost Liverpool a fortune to take him. Do you know that way? Because that's the way the English market works. So if he's buy somebody for down there who's highly rated, and we only got Asgard because of the deal we Luton had, they could leave for a certain amount. And then that means Wigan didn't get any because they sold him for that same amount in left by. But if he does well up there, there's somebody down there going to come in and say, "We'll give you 7 million, 8 million for him," just because they've seen him before and know what he can do. So I think he's doing it properly. There's no point in going and buying players we don't know nothing of, because as a manager, you don't want that. You want to be comfortable with buying players you know, maybe worked with before or you've seen or whatever. And it might work, it might not work for him, Gary. Like I said before, time will tell, but I'm happy the way he's going just now.
No, I agree. Do you know what's funny? Because when you were talking there, I was thinking if we bought, was that boy's name, Frieger from Westerlo or whatever it is, you bought Turgeman from Maccabi Haifa, are they any better quality of teams than the Championship teams that we're buying these guys from? Probably not. And playing in a stronger league? Probably not. There's a question I've seen from Paul.
What I will say, Gary, the boy for Sheffield Wednesday, I've seen him quite a lot last season. I watch a lot of Championship football because I don't really watch Premiership teams because a lot of my poor and my entry have been awful, so I'm not even watching them either. But the boy for Sheffield Wednesday, we need to get him, because if we don't get him, he'll get better and we won't be able to afford him. So he's a nice guy who could come in and he can use his left, right foot, he's tricky, he's skillful, he can play at either wing. But if he comes up here and does well, he's somebody else who can go back down there for double or triple what you bring him in for. Do you know what I mean? He's very highly rated because he's still a young guy, but he's got a lot of experience playing. He's played down 56 or 46 games last season with Sheffield Wednesday and scored 8 goals or something, which is decent because you have to look at the Dessers argument. We've all slagged Dessers, right? Every single Rangers fan slagged Dessers, especially Ricky, right? But
Can't remember that 3 seasons.
Dessers scores goals, right? But we all slag him, and if he leaves, most of them will be happy and we'll think they get decent money for him. But we've got other players in the squad that had the goals last season. Tabernier's not putting the goals in anymore, obviously, because his legs are starting to ding me. I'm not getting a party, maybe Churney. Didn't get a lot from middle of the park or defensively either. So these guys he brought in have got a pedigree of putting the ball in the net. I'm not saying they're going to do it with us, but you hope for they will. And that's what he's trying to install in the team. So I think patience has a virtue with Rangers fans because a lot of people aren't patient. We've seen it last week. But I think we have to be to give it time. Listen, I'm sitting here saying that, but if you lose the first game of the season, I'll probably be moaning and groaning. But I think we have to look at give him a chance because he's doing what we wanted to do, and it's not his fault. He's buying players that he's worked before because he's not going to go somewhere where he doesn't know anybody.
No, definitely. Yeah. So Ricky, let's talk strikers then. So just when Scott was picking up on that, so Dessers and Agaman, it's all went quiet, very quiet on the proposed transfers to Lille and AEK Athens. Obviously, Martin said that they didn't meet the valuation for Dessers, and Agaman there was no formal bid made. So as it stands, we have all 3 of them. Nobody is bidding for them. They're not in negotiations with MD. And there's obviously been links with Turgeman and De Jong and Jamie Vardy and all these other ones. But it looks at the moment like we're going to have those 3 as our 3 strikers.
I think one will move on, Gary, is my gut feeling. I don't think all 3 of them will be here for the start of next season. But I saw a thing today that the 17th of July is the date that you need to registration for the second qualifying round. So that's only 6 days. So I think that pretty much you're in a position now where your sticker twist, it's going to be too late to this winger that comes in. We might get one more before that 16th date, but I think you're getting to the point with the friendlies and everything that are coming up that this is the squad we're going to have for facing Panathinaikos. And listen, everyone's getting way too excited about Panathinaikos. Now, any team we play this time of season is a very difficult match, right? But if you weigh everything up, these guys are their season's not started ever, so they're in exactly the same position as us. They're doing pre-season and everything like that. They're desperate to beat us. They're playing loads of matches and stuff like that. But for the striker situation, we're definitely we're going to be going into that match with the 3 strikers we've got just now. So if I don't know what the story is with Dessers, I heard it's an ankle knock or something like that. He's training away from the team, and Egerman's training. I mean, Russell Martin is smashing the players, by the way. It is incredible. He's probably brutalising them even more than Gerrard did. Remember when Gerrard's absolutely brutalised them? You used to see the videos. I think Russell Martin's took the steps, so we're definitely probably, because that's the way that he wants with the press and everything like that. He wants it to be super aggressive, win the ball back, players be in the right positions, win the ball back high up the pitch, keep the ball. So every player, so it's going to be a situation where I don't think he'll want to bring a player in at the last minute and chuck him into a European match or chuck him into us. I think he wants the player to understand what he at least have a basic understanding of what Russell Martin wants from the player. So it is going to be fascinating. I would love it to be Egerman. I mean, I would love Egerman to really. We spoke about this last week. I think he's had a real raw deal with this nonsense that he's lazy. Billy Dodds and Ferguson and everything like that, with their love for Sir Dessers, and Egerman's the devil for some reason, whereas he was the one that was banging in the goals and playing like Van Basten before Ferguson came in and got beat every week. So if we can get that Egerman, he is raw, but if Martin can coach him with the coaches that he's got, which I've been super impressed with, they can get that rough, that diamond polished, just that little bit to do what he wants to do from a centre forward, then that could be another massive piece of the jigsaw. And me personally, I would be happy to keep Egerman as our number 9 for next season if he can work in a Russell Martin team, because it's going to be totally different and everything's going to be different. Egerman was picking the ball up miles away from the park and everything like that. But for me, any time we played really good football under Coman, which wasn't a lot, but any time we did, Egeman was always there to score the chances. When we beat Hibs 3-0 and he scored a hat-trick, he was there to take the chances. When we played Tottenham and we were brilliant in that game, he was there to take the chance. The big games away in Europe and stuff like that. So he's a big game player. So he's the one that I hope we can get fit before we take on the Greeks. And he can, if he leaves after we get through that tie, because for me, that's the most important match of our season, because we don't want to be playing a team to get into the Europa League, because some of the matches are absolutely brutal. It's as tough as to get in the Champions League nowadays, so it's going to be hard. So we need to beat this Greek team, and then after that, everything will take care of itself.
So I'm going to put you on the spot for something we can clip later in the year then, probably then. So if we don't sell Egeman, Dessers and Danilo, do you think we can win the league with those three as our strikers?
If Russell Martin can get Egeman firing and work in his team, I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not as huge an Egeman fan as a lot of the other people on the pod. Things like that. I think he's got. I'd take 50 million in a heartbeat for him. I think he's had a good half a season, and what you do is you buy and sell quickly if you possibly can while they're doing well. But it looks at the moment as though Lille aren't prepared to pay the money. Scott Dessers doesn't really look as though he wants to leave anyway. But there's not a bid for him. And Danilo, I don't think anybody wants him anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're stuck with him at the moment. So as it stands just now, those three strikers are our strikers. Until one leaves, we aren't going to get any further with it. But do you think, the same answer, I suppose, the same question as I gave Ricky, do you think that's enough for us next season?
Well, last game, Dessers, I think between them had 40 plus goals, and I could be wrong, but I'm sure they had 40 goals, 40 plus goals between the two of them. So I think if we get goals for other areas in the park, I think there's a chance. It's a lot of games last season, Gary. We gave ourselves a lot of fucking heartache, which we're always 2 down before we started playing. So if we can cut that out, then we give ourselves a better chance. I think we will add one more striker. I think we'll bring somebody else in. Even if nobody leaves, I still think we'll add another striker. Might not be before the Fahrenheit game, but the window has been shut for like 5-6 weeks winner. So I still think we'll add another striker. But I do think one will leave. I don't know what one, but I do think one of them will leave. It won't be Danilo because he's not even been mentioned by the manager, but Danilo hasn't, No. The manager mentioned, Dessers been mentioned, but Danilo's not been mentioned. So I don't know if he's got hopes of him or he's just thinking, well, nobody wants him, so I'm going to have to try and use him at some point.
I think everybody's kind of given up on Danilo, Scott. Do you think Danilo's just there? Nobody, the fans have kind of lost hope in him. He's not really part of the forward thinking. When you think about Rangers, you don't really think of Danilo's been anything other than there.
You don't, and I think you're probably right. I think a lot of people, think to themselves, right, you've seen him for 2 and a bit seasons, he's not done a lot apart from being injured, and then he comes back, he's been poor and he's been hiding in games, basically. I think it was up at the Tawdry started, wasn't it? I could be wrong, but or was it the Command? I can't remember what game in the end of the season he was struggling. So he has to prove to himself, Daniel, that he's still a striker, he's still a player, and he's still got that attitude. He wants to win, he wants to score goals, he wants to be hungry. He has to prove that to himself. If he can do that, I think there's a chance. But it's up to him at the end of the day. I mean, it costs us more money than the cost is probably what we pay for both Egeman and Dessers, to be fair. So I think he has to prove a point, but I think he will bring somebody else in. But like I said earlier, I think that there's 3 good players. I think Egeman, he has got potential as a bit raw, but I think if he coach him properly and he plays with better players a bit and he gets the chances, I think he scores goals. Dessers is always going to score goals, criticism or not, because that's what he does. He misses a lot of chances, but he does score goals. So I do it like I said, like Gary, if other players can chip in with more goals, and we've got a great chance because we didn't against Celtic last season in the pool. It was against everybody else. So I think if we can cut that nonsense out, then we've always got a chance. But it's up to the players themselves and it's up to the manager to get them playing a different system and working hard. And I think that actually might be suited. I agree with Ricky, might be suited Egeman better than the other two.
Just to say a comment from Singing Blues. Egeman and Danilo are good together. Maybe so, but I'm pretty certain under Martin's team they're going to play together based on the kind of formations he plays. I don't think that's the style. It's 2 number 8s. It looks like
If it plays a 3-5-2, then it's going to be Asgard or Cameron, whoever's the 10, going to play off the striker, isn't it? That's the way Kane goes.
Definitely.
And that way Southampton.
I don't think he's played. So let's talk players coming in then, Ricky. It's been a good week. We have signed one in Djiga, big imposing centre half, and managed to get a head knock with a passing drill in his first training session. I suppose looks big, imposing defender. Obviously, good pedigree. Played a lot of games in Belgrade. I've seen a few comments in here as I've been looking at the comments about bringing him in on loan and this kind of aversion to loan players bringing in because we know he's all here for a year. I think that doesn't worry you, and what you've seen of him so far, you're quite excited about him.
Gary, if we're loaning, look at some of the draws we've taken. We've actually done quite well with loan players. We've probably done better with loan players the last 4 years than we have what actual players have signed. If you look at Churney, Tillman, Seema, this is so these are players that are out of our price range. We're not going to be able to give right now. We need to be winning the league constantly in the Champions League team season after season after season to be signing 10 million on a centre back from Wolves. That's just the way it is. This guy is highly thought of, a massive pedigree coming, won the league many times, played in the Champions League. If that loan player that's coming into your team is going to improve your team, then what is the problem whether he's on loan or he's signed permanently? You're getting players on loan that are much better quality than what we can afford. So if you can get 2 or 3 of them in your team to supplement your squad and take the quality up, which we hope these guys are going to do, I mean, they definitely do physicality-wise, then I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. If you're looking at, like, say Rice has shown brilliant potential and he's playing 5 games, and then you're bringing in a player that's not as good as Rice, and then like this could conceivably happen. I'm not saying it's going in next season, but I saw people speaking about this on X today. Say Raskin is the player that misses out from the free because the manager's brought in Rothwell, Asgard, and he wants to play Diamande because Diamande's fitter. I think we've only seen 40% of Diamande. I think he's going to have a fantastic season. That's my prediction, right? So say Raskin is the one that misses out, but then we start dropping points. Fans are going to go absolutely bananas, because absolutely bananas at the manager. So it's about quality. If you're adding quality, which this guy is at the back, and you've got Aarons as well, who I think they do have the potential to sign at the end of the season, then I think you've just got to trust the manager. You still see there's a lot, and it's understandable, there's so much scar tissue from fans, from players that were signed in the past. Everyone, what about Joey Barton? What about Ricky O'Crancher? What about this player from the Championship? What about all this crap that Warburton brought in? And that's completely understandable. But you've got to trust. We've got new owners, new backroom team, new manager, our first team coach, whatever you want to call him. We've got a director of football and everything. You've got to trust these guys. We will be the first to be on here going mental when it goes wrong, but let's at least be positive in pre-season and trust these guys and let them, if they want to bring in 5-6 loan players, let them bring in 5-6 loan players and let them build a squad that they think can challenge for the league.
Yeah. I think it's an historic thing. Every team in the world now loans players. It's part of the game. People move about. Rashford, all these ones were at Villa. They all move about. But we've got that old thing that loan players were rubbish players that had to be moved on for a club. Nobody wanted them. It was that historic feeling. Which takes me to another loan player, Scott. That was rumoured earlier on this week. So what's his boy's name? Rushworth, or whatever his name is. Was it Goalkeeper, which came out of the blue yesterday. That we were potentially looking at a lone goalkeeper. Now, there's maybe an argument. Some would say a loan for a goalkeeper is not quite as good as a loan for an outfield player, but it did put into question Jack Butland, and that the rumours now starting about his future at the club.
I think the rumour came because obviously when Martin, the Swansea manager, he was a first choice keeper and played the full season, never missed a game for Swansea, do you know what I mean? So obviously people put 2 and 2 together and thought, well, Martin's like a keeper, Butland's maybe they're going to get a Jack Butland. It came, they're going to get a Jack Butland. We've seen the last year and a half. It's like, and then Kelly's to me just a squad keeper. He's nothing more if that. So I think that's the real. Brighton will offer him a new deal because they can see his worth. I don't know if they've offered him a deal because he's going to be the number one and above on the deal because that many teams are interested in him, just to protect himself for a transfer fee, do you know what I mean? But listen, Martin's worked with him and he done really well with Swansea. We've seen some of the passing he's done for the goal. I mean, I know that's a keeper we're talking about here, but some of his balls go forwards, and even when he was in loan last season. So if that's the case, that's the case. Like I said, I don't mind losing, bringing in loan players. Gary, I agree with you. It's like every team, no matter who it is, bring in loan players. Even the top teams do it. City, Madrid, Liverpool brought Keys in last season. Only didn't play much, but still bringing a top of talent into the squad. And I think why would they bring him in? Do you know what I mean? Because they've got a lot of players. But that's what teams do. Because it helps them. If you see a player who you think can improve your side, but not playing at the side of that, why don't you not bring them through? Because at the end of the day, footballers want to play the game, no matter where they're at. They want to play the game to show they're still capable of playing well. And that's what loan players do. That's why loan players sometimes get a bit more, because they've got a point to prove to the fans they're playing for, but also got a point to prove to the manager and let them go. So I don't see if you bring in loan players, obviously you can't bring in too many, but if you can bring in two or three loan players to improve us, I'm happy with that. But big centre back's a solid player. He's still young, but he's physical, he's demanding, he's athletic, and he's powerful, and that suits us because, like I say, we've been missing that for so many years since Richard Goffley. We've been missing it.
Yeah. No, he looks like he does look the part. I mean, obviously we'll need to see him on the pitch and see what he's doing, but he looks the part from there. So you said, Scott, you watch a lot of Championship. So the other one that's, and I've seen somebody in the comments saying that Sky Sports are saying it's pretty much done. Gasama, the winger, right winger, left foot. No, is it right winger, left footed? Or cuts in, I can't remember.
He can play either side, Gareth. He played a lot of left wing last season, but he also played night because he can play either way.
So the Rangers Review, the podcast that Ricky was referring to, had him 10 times amount. That player, he's not 2.5 million. He was worth 25 million. He was probably the reincarnation of Ronaldo, I think, coming into that podcast. But he was an outstanding player. But he has got good reviews. I mean, and joking aside, he scored a lot of goals last season. Doesn't really assist very much. Very direct, very fast, and seems to be quite creative. Your thoughts? So you've seen him a few times more than me and Ricky certainly have.
To be honest with you, he didn't really have a lot of assists because Sheffield Wednesday were poor last season, put a lot of balls into the box, but obviously just couldn't finish. But he's one of these guys from last season. Wednesday were a lot of times in the back foot because they finished close to the bottom of the league and they were struggling for relegation at one point. When he get the ball, the fans lit up because they would take it themselves up the park, they would create stuff and maybe try and score. So he was a shining light. When it comes to Rangers, he's going to be deployed slightly different. But he's young, he's tricky, he's talented, he's got an eye for goal, an eye for a pass. But he's exciting to get you off your seat. And if you're going to be pressing as much as we think we are and nutting the ball back, he's got the pace and ability to go to the last third and create a chance or score a chance. And he's not going to cost us a lot of money. He's not going to win a big wage at Sheffield Wednesday because they were struggling financial wise. So I think it's a 1-1. And I know you like other fans sometimes, and some fans like poor, some fans don't. But Sheffield Wednesday fans seem quite kind on him, seem to quite have liked him in the last season. So I think it's a good deal for us. The other boy will like me Kamara if he holds that him a few times. I wasn't too impressed with him. I wasn't too impressed, I have to say. I thought he was poor when at times I've seen him. I thought he lacked a bit of attitude at times in the park. I didn't look interested, but I was only watching games on TV, generally. So I don't really know. I'm not going to say that's what he's like, but I was more impressed with the other boy. I will say, and I was with Kamara. I was impressed more with Gasama. I thought he looked the part, and I thought he's exciting. But I thought he'd have stayed in England. I thought he maybe went to one of the Premiership teams that came down, maybe like Southampton or something. Maybe Leeds are coming for him and took him to the Premiership. But to get him, I think that's a clever move for Rangers.
Sorry, just come in there, Gary. Yeah, the guy for Hull, that was what the Hull fans were saying as well. It's interesting that was you. That was what you got your thoughts on the player when you were watching him in the Championship, because that was what I noticed. All the comments from the Hull players were all exactly the same. He doesn't track back. He looks like he doesn't want to be there, very lazy and stuff like that. So I thought that was a weird link. He was probably the only player that I've seen us linked with recently that I was a little bit, I don't really fancy that one. So I hope that one doesn't come to fruition. But apparently, according to the review, we're still desperate to sign 3 wingers. So this will hopefully be number 1 of 3. So that's very interesting. And then obviously we'll need to move your McCausland, your Matondo, players like that will need to move on for the good of the club. So that'll be interesting to see.
At the back of the podcast, but 3 years ago,
They also like me a Dozy to Southampton.
Yeah,
I'll
Southampton
take
guy.
him in a second.
He's a much better
I
link.
thought he was.
No, I was thinking
But
a
we
few
linked
years
him
ago,
in January.
that'd be
We linked him in
Matondo, but
January, but
yeah,
aye,
we did on the
Matondo.
last day. Then we pulled out for whatever it was just right at the end.
Command knocked it back for Matondo. He wanted to keep Matondo for what he saw in training.
I scored a couple of goals, Matondo, didn't he? Just then.
Norwich wanted Matondo, and the deal was almost done. And Command knocked it back and said, and then Dozy was coming to Rangers. It was all done, and then Russell Martin went crazy because they couldn't get him a loan move because it was agreed that he was coming to Rangers, and then Rangers pulled out at the last second, right before the deadline. So Southampton were raging.
So Ricky, just kind of winding up some of the other players then. So there's been a few crazy rumours, as you said. So, but one I've seen a few times in the chat there, Churney has been, I suppose, offered out here left, right, and centre because he's not wanted at Wolfsburg. Would you be keen for him to come back? I'm not convinced it would really work second time around.
I don't think we'll have the budget for it, Gary. I think the money in that, even if it comes knocked down to like 5-6 million, I think when you see, unless someone goes out, an Eggman or something like that, with the amount of players that we're bringing in, these numbers are starting to really rack up. I mean, if we can get some money for these players, that would be great. But if Churney's coming back to Rangers, it will be a last minute, like, he's not got any other options. Last minute, like out of the blue, Ryan Kent situation where it's like, okay, Rangers are sold, they got all the players out they wanted, they've freed up wages, they've got some budget left, let's go and get Churney because he's guaranteed numbers. But I think when you look at Purdy and Felwell, I think his age would put even the money you're speaking about, I think his age would really put them off bringing him back in. I think they in their head, they believe that they've got better options that are more suited, that we've got sell-on value down the line. And I mean, that's probably true. That's probably what you want anyway. So I don't see Churney back at Rangers, mate.
I also don't think he'd actually play fit. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I mean, Churney, good as he was going forward and creating and cutting inside shooting, he's tracking back. He's kind of awareness around about the pressing side of things wasn't the greatest, for what I remember rightly. Ricky, you like a good rumour. So Lundstrom, Windass, I seen them during the week.
Please do me a favour, dig a hole and put me in that hole. Send me back to Amsterdam, stick me in a bin, mate. Honestly, no chance. None of them. Absolutely none of them. Don't want Lundstrom back. After Lundstrom's performance at Parkhead when he got sent off when we were going for the league was one of the worst performances I've ever, like an absolute disgrace from a professional. He absolutely chucked it that day because he didn't get a new contract. He knew he was moving on. I don't want to see Lundstrom back in a Rangers jersey. He can pretend he's a Rangers fan and we'll get him on 100 podcasts when he retires from Turkey, but no way. And Josh Windass the same, absolutely brain dead, pickle brain, man. There's no way he's coming back to Rangers. So big, hard no for me for they two. And I know people will put in the comments going, oh, Windass, you're a brilliant player, bring him back. Please, why do we always want to go back and bring players that are shite in the past? Nothing's changed. They'd be exactly the same. No.
And Mark's just put a comment. Hadji was asking to come back, apparently. Did you hear that?
Nobody. No, unless his dad is coming to watch him every week, then absolutely no chance, mate. Hadji is sore. Imagine Hadji in a Russell Martin team. Jesus.
And Scott, I'm going to just pick it because during the week, I'm sure you said Josh Windass is a good player. Would you like to see him at Rangers?
I say he's a good player, Gary, but I wouldn't like him back to Rangers. I said that all night. I say the problem with Windass was he was a decent footballer, he was, and he's done relatively well down in the Championship, but in his own head, he was better than what he actually is. Do you know what I mean? He always wants to be the main man, and it's no what happens. Listen, he scored some decent goals for Rangers, he did, and there was that for Holiday, then he didn't like Rangers fans, but he gave it a bit of it back, which doesn't bother me, to be fair, because the players do get a lot of abuse, and sometimes you get it back. Fans don't like it, but I remember Sammy Fraser doing it as well when he was at Ibrox years ago, because he was getting a bit of abuse and he gave it back. And that's just the way it is. Listen, if I was in the part of a new slag, I mean, I think I would give it back as well, but to me, no. Windass shut sailed, Lundstrom shut sailed, Hadji, same. You don't go back for players who weren't really performing to a level you wanted in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Lundstrom I was never a fan of. Windass was all right, but he's here at a totally different time. He played a Rangers team that was very, very poor. And Haji's, like Ricky says, unless his dad's in the stand every week, he's a bit hit and miss. So just we move on, we go for players with new ideas, new identities, and stop getting back to it. It's pointless.
No, definitely. You know, there's a million, in fact, more than a million players out there, and we shouldn't always want to get the same ones we knew before for what they've done. You know, there's these guys will sign, they'll either be good or they'll not be good, and when they do leave, they can want them back as well in it after the event. You know, so that's there's tons of players back in. There's lots of options, and guys like Josh Windass is 31, good player as he was, but he was a better player in his own head than he was on the pitch.
I mean, that guy compared him to he's the best player in the world ever. That's what worried me about this winger we're bringing in. But no, Windass is why I'm going to Wrexham and get a decent contract from Wrexham. We've got to still be careful with the wages that we're giving players, Gary. And I think we're starting to get a good mix in the squad. We've got a few young Scottish talents that are we've got Cameron, we've got Curtis, we've got Rice. I see people wanting these guys to go on loan. I disagree. I think Curtis can really have a massive effect on our team next season. You could bring in a few wingers that are doing absolutely nothing, and Curtis could be the one that gets a chance and scores goals. And his interview was brilliant after the friendly on Sunday. I'm ready to push people out the way and stuff like that. So for me, you're paying them not too much wages, and then you've got a lot of players in the squad that are on really high wages and stuff like that. We don't want to listen. These Americans are not coming in just to hand us a massive wage pot of money. So if our wage bill is 60, 70 million for next season, then that's too high for Rangers. It just is. It's way too high. We need a squad of about 25 players that absolutely contribute every single week or every single second week when we're playing in Europe. Like there's a game every 3 days. We can mix up the team. And when we play Old Firm games, these players are available. That's what we need. We don't need players like Yilmaz. I mean, Jesus Christ, Gary, he plays 20 minutes at the weekend and then there's him injured again and he can't even train with the team after the match. It's like, come on, it's so frustrating. I cannot wait for the day that all these players are moved on. So I don't want to go back and bring old players into the mix and make it even worse.
No, I'd agree. And if we need a new striker, we'd always get Alfredo back, couldn't we? That would go that way.
It's it, mate. Well, Alfredo up front with Windass, mate. Oh, what can go wrong with that?
So we're coming to the end of the pod. It's been a little bit extended because it's a Friday night and we're doing one a week. I don't know if there's anything I've missed, Ricky.
Yes, I want one thing, not about Rangers, man. It's just as a football fan, see what happened to Crystal Palace today, mate. Honestly, what is wrong with football nowadays? The game is so gone.
What was the reason? I've not kept up with it. What was the reason? I couldn't really grasp it.
There was a team that it was Leon. Leon qualified for the same. They're in the Europa League as well. Yeah. So for some reason, because they've got the same owner, both of them can't play in the Europa League in the same competition. Now, Crystal Palace said to Jesus, we sound like Sky Sports now. What for free you get this podcast? No, because they've got the same owner. But Man City are in the Champions League with Girona last season. And there's other teams that have done it with this, and it's all over football now, this multi-owner thing. So Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup was amazing. It was one of the best stories of last season, and it's not the same. The Conference League is crap compared to the Europa League. To me personally, I don't even want to be in the Conference League next season. I think it's a complete diddy tournament, and it's massive compared. Oh, is this breaking news? Is this
breaking news?
Kerr's pregnant. So, no, it was brutal what happened to Crystal Palace, mate. So just my point, as a football fan, sort it out, UEFA. You know, you're punishing real football fans that were so excited to go and watch their team in Europe and stuff like that, and you're taking that dream away from real football fans that have followed their club for years that just don't get that opportunity. You put them in this Mickey Mouse tournament where the money's absolutely crap. I just think it's shocking, and we need to get this sorted out at the top level, mate, because the amount of corruption that's in football, this is trying to get Ronaldo to sign for another team to play in one tournament and stuff like that. Football is just gone at the top level, and they need to get it sorted out. Someone needs to have a word with them and bring it back, you know, especially all this Saudi money and everything, all this money. It's just went so corrupt and so dodgy at the top, and it needs to be sorted out, mate. That's my rant for tonight.
he's away now. He's left after that. Scott, who'd have thought UEFA?
It's like you said, Ricky. Sorry, guys. Like Ricky was saying, but it's like Crystal Palace have been obviously punished by no fault of their own because by all accounts, they selling shares in Moody Johnson and the New York Jets were supposed to be willing to buy him off them, so that was going to be changing ownership. But obviously, UEFA aren't happy with that. But if that was Man City or Chelsea, and that's not a diggery to it, it just happens. They get away with murder. Chelsea buying players with that many players. I don't know how they allowed it. City got more charges and bloody.
What was one, Scott? Did Nottingham Forest no sell all their shares right before, or just move their shares right before the end of the season so that it didn't impact them in Olympiacos? There was something, they moved it all in a holding company or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. No, the owner did that. He changed. He resigned as the owner so they could still play in the tournament. But he's obviously still the owner. He's at all the games running on the. He ran on the pitch, and gave the manager a slap at the end of the season because they drew a match and never got in the Champions League. It's like, come on, it's so bad, man. And like it's ruining the game, man. Imagine how the Crystal Palace fans feel like with all the other stuff that's going on. I mean, Everton get these charges against them, other teams get these charges against them, and then I just think it's absolutely shocking, to be honest with you, mate. They need to get sorted out.
Scott,
Man City's get more charges than Diddy, and the two of them are getting away with it. Do you know what I mean? It's brutal, whereas Chelsea's the same. Forest get done, Everton get done. If it was us, who would get done? But the big teams with money can get away with things, Gary. They get money to postpone things or put things to the side or fight things, whereas these wee clubs don't, and then they end up being made an example of just to say, well, we are punishing teams. Maybe you're right, maybe you're punishing teams, but you're not punishing the right teams.
Right. And on that note, so Ricky's rant to finish us off for this evening, that's why we're extended by a little bit of time there. We hopefully this time next week, there's not any games, obviously, there's not that we'll get to see or watch. Hopefully, there'll be another one or two signings, some players out the door. The intention, I think, Scott, is to go back next Friday, unless anything dramatic happens. Then after that, we'll start back again, probably as we edge towards the Champions League qualifier, back to Monday, Friday.
Yeah, after next Friday, we'll go back to Mondays again, which obviously get Panathinaikos, and then we'll have the Middlesbrough game, and then Panathinaikos, then it's on to
Right
so there's more football to talk about, right back in. It's just because there's not a lot happening, and every single podcast is talking about the same stuff. I don't want to keep boring people, no. Listen, it's only our opinion, but everybody's talking about the same players, the same information, the same stuff, so it's certainly a bit of winners league game, there's games involved, at least you can talk about that, and so we'll just come back next Friday. So hopefully it's not as boring because I'm actually sweating in my internet. Hopefully start to work because it's brutal. So
thanks everybody for watching it on a 25-degree heat. Do you know, this is what Ricky's got to live with day in, day out, if not warmer. We don't like it, but is it 30 degrees, Ricky? 40 degrees? 40 degrees.
40.
40 degrees. The Magnums are selling the hotcakes here as well. It's just boiling hot. Wetherspoons has never been so busy. But the Friday night. So we will be back next week, next Friday. Hopefully everybody's a good weekend. Enjoy the sunshine. Drink plenty of water and all the other stuff that goes with it. Stay safe. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye now.